It all begins with Hyo-man checking the list of stolen phones and spotting Jun-tae's note marking CN as untouchable. Furious, he beats Jun-tae and orders him to steal CN's phone before the day ends. Since students hand in their phones every morning, Jun-tae sneaks into the teacher's storage, takes CN's phone, and gives it to Hyo-man, pretending he has no idea what happened when CN asks. CN knows he gave it to Hyo-man but pretends he doesn't know. This season kicks off with fresh faces and new tensions. CN transfers to a new school, haunted by trauma and sleepless nights about Soo-ho, who is still in a coma. Rumors spread that he killed someone, and though he avoids fights, he battles insomnia, psychiatrist visits, and daily sleeping pills. Jun-tae, timid and desperate, works under bully Hyo-man, stealing phones to survive. Baku, the strongest in school, protects victims and rejects union leader Baek Jin's recruitment. At his side is Go-tak, once a taekwondo star until the union shattered his knee. 4 very different students, soon bound by fate into an unshakable bond. Feeling guilty after CN doesn't react, Jun-tae follows him after school to apologize and even offers to pay for a new one, but CN coldly calls him a coward and walks away. CN's mother takes him to buy a new phone, worried about how little time they spend together, and talks about him studying abroad. The next morning, CN visits Soo-ho at the hospital. Even though Soo-ho is in a coma, CN still messages him about his life, even without a reply. He tells Soo-ho about his insomnia and how he called Jun-tae a coward, though deep down, he feels he's an even bigger one. Back at school, he sees Hyo-man's gang beating Jun-tae on the stairs. He imagines stepping in but stops himself, instead staring them down and ordering them to move. Intimidated, they make way, and he walks past without a word. At lunch, Jun-tae brings snacks to CN as he naps and admits he's been stealing phones for Hyo-man because he has no choice. He says he wants to stop being a coward and asks CN to teach him. CN uses Newton's third law to explain that nothing changes without action. Later, Jun-tae looks up Newton's laws and ignores a call from the bullies, who are drinking at a bar and demanding he pay. Hyo-man offers to cover the bill, then heads out to meet Song-jae, one of the union gang leaders. To earn his spot in the union, Hyo-man starts stealing his friends' phones at school and handing them over. At a cyber cafe, Song-jae viciously attacks a man who mocks him, scaring Hyo-man. The next morning, Jun-tae sneaks into the storage room, returns all the stolen phones with apology notes, and goes to sleep. When CN arrives, he overhears students whispering about it, worried about what Hyo-man will do next. Hyo-man storms into class, and Jun-tae, expecting a beating, bites into a bun as a mouthguard and takes off his glasses. He tries to fight back but is brutally beaten. CN remembers the time Soo-ho stopped him from hitting someone with a chair, and when Hyo-man lifts a chair to smash Jun-tae, CN steps in, just like Soo-ho did before. While CN and Hyo-man's fight continues in class, Go-tak is upset about missing the basketball tournament because of Baku's suspension. On his way to talk to a teacher, he notices the commotion and heads to class 4. Inside, CN just takes Hyo-man's punches without hitting back, dodging only once before Hyo-man loses control. Go-tak steps in, trading insults with Hyo-man, who calls him Baku's minion. Annoyed, Go-tak shows off a karate back kick that lightly brushes Hyo-man's nose, making him freeze in fear. Go-tak warns that he can drop him with one kick, and Hyo-man storms out. CN ignores Go-tak and helps Jun-tae, but Go-tak demands a thank you from CN. CN later coldly thanks him before walking out with Jun-tae. Jun-tae refuses to go to the nurse, explaining it only makes things worse. Hyo-man gets called in by the teacher, then beats them again, and the cycle repeats. When asked why he returned the stolen phones, Jun-tae says it's because he was influenced by CN's words about Newton's third law, that nothing changes without action. CN tries to correct him that he misunderstood the meaning, but Jun-tae's friends interrupt, so he leaves quietly. Later, Go-tak overhears gossip about CN's past, saying he killed a student at his previous school. Thinking it's just made-up talk, he still grows curious. The students also gossip about Hyo-man, underestimating his abilities and saying they could win a fight against him before he walks in and scares them. Hyo-man feels betrayed by Jun-tae and is angry with CN and Go-tak, plotting a plan to make them fight. After school, Jun-tae runs up to CN and gives him lutein and magnesium pills, saying they help with focus and sleep, then thanks him before leaving. That night, CN chooses the pills over his usual sleeping medication and manages to fall asleep. The next day, he's alert in class and has lunch with Jun-tae, thanking him for the pills. They watch Go-tak play basketball until Hyo-man approaches, pretending to be friendly. He whispers to CN that Go-tak plans to beat him, then tells Go-tak that he plans to be friends with CN to defeat him and Baku. Go-tak, pissed off, wants to punch him but is stopped by his friends. Before the next class, Jun-tae heads to the washroom but is dragged away by Hyo-man's gang. While Go-tak is away, Hyo-man trashes Go-tak's clubroom. Jun-tae never returns for the rest of the day. Hyo-man tells CN that Go-tak is locking Jun-tae in the clubroom. CN finds him stuffed inside a locker since lunch. Soon after, Go-tak hears that CN is wrecking the clubroom and charges over, catching him leaving and convinced he's guilty. Meanwhile, Hyo-man plans to use this fight to his advantage. On the way home, CN deliberately takes the shortcut through the bully's spot, knowing Go-tak will confront him. Go-tak accuses him of ruining lives while acting like a saint, bringing up Suho's coma, which pushes CN over the edge. They fight hard until Hyo-man and his gang arrive. Outnumbered, CN and Go-tak team up. Just when things get bad, Baku shows up, scaring the bullies. Hyo-man drops the bat he was about to use on CN, but Baku slams a basketball into his head, knocking him out. Impressed by his aim, CN listens as Baku asks who he is, thinking he's got some nerves. Baku warns the bullies that while wearing their uniform, no fighting is allowed, then sends them away. Go-tak apologizes to CN for misunderstanding him, but CN walks off silently. Jun-tae follows and tries to comfort him about the rumors that he ruined someone's life. CN says it's not a rumor, which is why he avoids fighting. The next day, Baku returns from suspension, cheerfully greeting students on his way to class and defending students from bullies. Since he's back, Hyo-man's gang stops bullying other students. In class, he talks with Go-tak about basketball, and Baku, who misses him, bonds with him. Soon after, Go-tak, Baku, Jun-tae, and CN are called to the office and accused of attacking Hyo-man's group since none of them came to school. The teacher punishes them with weekend volunteering. Go-tak protests, saying Hyo-man's group started it, but the teacher refuses to argue. Baku forces them to bow to the teacher to accept the punishment. After that, Go-tak wants to apologize again about yesterday, and CN also says sorry to him. Even though they apologize, the situation feels awkward. CN then tells Baku they're not close, so don't touch his head. Baku jokingly messes his hair before walking away. Later, Jun-tae says that Baku is a nice person who helps protect their school from bullies. Jun-tae then explains to CN about the Union, a bad gang formed by bullies from nearby schools working together for money. Hyo-man wanted to join them, so he began collecting phones for the Union leaders, but Baku stopped him and protected their students from fights. This angered the Union, and they started attacking any of their students they found, taking their money. Baku fought back and defeated them all. Jun-tae says no one in the Union could beat him. The Union leaders then punish Hyo-man for the missing phones caused by Jun-tae. He is dragged to meet Baek-jin, the leader, but one of the gang says that with Baku around, they can't win the territory. Song-jae listens to this call, and Baek-jin decides they should visit Baku. During the weekend volunteering, CN starts bonding with Baku, Go-tak, and Jun-tae. Baku's silly behavior and non-stop arguing with Go-tak make CN smile. At lunch, their arguing causes sauce to spill on CN's hoodie, so he goes to clean it in the restroom, where Song-jae is waiting. Song-jae takes a photo of him and gets annoyed when CN stares back without fear. He tries to hit him, but CN dodges easily. Song-jae backs off when he notices CN eyeing a flower pot. Outside, he runs into Baku and jokes that Baku and Baek-jin should make up so he doesn't get stuck in their argument. Meanwhile, Baek-jin, the top student at his school, is honored at a school assembly. During self-study, money keeps being deposited into his account, and he gets a call confirming the full amount has arrived, along with news that Hyo-man wants to meet. Baek-jin agrees, but when Hyo-man shows up with his crew to ambush him, expecting an easy win, Baek-jin proves his strength by beating them all. After volunteering, Go-tak and Jun-tae join Baku at his father's restaurant, while CN rejects their offer and pretends he's going home, but instead visits Suho at the hospital. Baku calls to check if he got home safely, worried Song-jae might follow him. CN assures him he's fine, then writes a message to Suho, updating him on his day and how he's starting to feel comfortable around his new friends. Suddenly, Songjae appears outside the room, making cruel remarks about CN putting Suho in a coma. He tells CN to follow him as he doesn't want to disturb Suho's sleep, saying he likes beating up kids like him. Songjae tells CN to follow him and leads him to a bowling alley where Baek Jin is in his office. Songjae tells CN to go inside and meet Baek Jin. CN, unafraid, goes in and warns him, if Baek Jin's people ever go near Suho, he will kill them all. Before leaving, CN solves a math problem for Baek Jin, telling him to separate the variables first so it can be solved quickly. Baek Jin doesn't argue but tells CN to stop hanging around Baku if he doesn't want him to disturb Suho, and CN tells Baek Jin to keep his word. That night, Baek Jin sends his boys to cause trouble for Baku's father, using fake IDs to buy alcohol at his restaurant, then calling the police to accuse him of selling to minors. Later, Baek Jin calls Baku, gives him an address, and tells him to meet the next day. The next day, CN tells Baku he doesn't want to be involved in his conflict with Baek Jin, prefers to be alone, and doesn't want to be friends with any of them. His friends seem okay with it, but actually worry about CN. After school, CN leaves early and bumps into the Union's gang, who are about to bully him but let it go since Baek Jin told them not to. Baku lies about having a date and goes to meet Baek Jin. Meanwhile, Songjae and the Union gang are ordered to hunt down Go-tak and Jun-tae. Jun-tae and Go-tak cross paths with Songjae's gang, and Go-tak gives Jun-tae a chance to escape. Jun-tae calls CN, but Songjae's gang catch him mid-call. Even though Jun-tae warns him to stay away, CN runs back to help. At the bowling alley, Baku fights through the Union members and reaches Baek Jin, who tries to convince him to join the gang and turn it into a business after graduation. Baku refuses, realizing the meeting was to distract him from Go-tak's situation. Leaving the building, Baku beats more members but spares them, making it clear it's his choice, not Baek Jin's mercy. He rushes to save Go-tak, who is being beaten by Songjae, while others live stream it. Jun-tae watches helplessly until CN arrives on the rooftop and attacks Songjae. The fight is brutal, Songjae is stronger, but CN is relentless, even breaking Songjae's glasses and stabbing his foot with the frame. Despite taking heavy hits, CN refuses to back down, and both collapse from exhaustion as the police sirens draw closer. Baku arrives and CN, mistaking him for Suho, apologizes for getting into another fight before passing out. In a flashback, Go-tak teaches Jun-tae how to fight, but he's so bad at it. Baku and CN watch them from afar. Baku said, Go-tak doesn't know how to teach fighting, and when CN asked him to teach Jun-tae, he refused, saying he once taught someone before and regretted it. Baku shares that Go-tak was once a Taekwondo champion, but because of him, the Union gang beat him badly, and Go-tak suffered a serious injury that ended his career. Even though Go-tak is fine now, Baku still feels guilty. CN relates to this because he also carries guilt over what happened to Suho. In the present, CN wakes up in Baku's hideout after Baku rescued him from the rooftop when the police showed up and arrested Songjae. Baku carried him there, treated his wound, and stayed by his side. He promises CN that he will never let something like that happen again, but CN warns that fighting only leads to more violence and serious injuries. Baku calls Baek Jin and decides to end his grudge with him by admitting defeat. It's revealed that Baku and Baek Jin were childhood friends, with Baku always protecting Baek Jin, who was weak back then, from bullies. Meanwhile, Baek Jin picks up Songjae from the police station and brings him to a place he uses to punish his gang members. When Baek Jin asks about their fake account, Songjae realizes Baek Jin only came to find out what he told the police. Angry, Songjae says he thought they were in the Union together, tells him what he revealed, that he only took CN's friends' money and fought with them, and leaves, warning Baek Jin not to look for him. After school, Baek Jin's boss gang members wait for him and tell him to meet their boss, but he refuses and beats them. CN, Go-tak, Jun-tae, and Baku grow closer, spending time studying, playing basketball, and hanging out. Later, Baku gets a call from the police about his father's case. The boys who accused his father of selling alcohol to minors changed their story, now claiming his father didn't check their IDs and later beat up a minor at the police station. When Baku arrives, his father is being held in a cell. Hearing the boys laugh about it, Baku follows them out and attacks them. Right after, Baek Jin texts him, saying he'll only leave his friends and father alone if Baku joins the union. Baekjin gets a call saying his men were beaten by Baku at the police station, but he decides to let it slide. Then his boss gang comes to the bowling alley and warns him not to mess up again, or he will face consequences, since the police called his boss gang to ask about Song Jae's fight. At home, Sien's mother confronts him about skipping tuition and the injuries on his face. She gives him admission papers for a school abroad, urging him to leave. Sien refuses, accusing her of abandoning him before, but she breaks down, blaming herself for what happened at his old school. Sien begins to consider leaving. On the way home, Sien overhears schoolmates talking about Baku beating Baekjin's boys at the police station and worries they will attack their school. Meanwhile, Baekjin keeps pressuring Baku, threatening his friends and father. After an argument with his father, Baku decides to join the union to protect them. His first task is to recruit the bully leader of another school. Baku finds him at a nightclub and takes him down with one punch, bringing that school into the union. But feeling bad, he gives money to that bully leader to buy medicine. That night, while Sien is applying to the abroad school, Gotak and Jun Tae suddenly visit him before he leaves. They got his address from school records and take him out to play basketball one last time. When Sien asks about what he heard about Baku, Gotak tells him he hasn't been to school, but there's no need to worry since this isn't the first time they've fought. Worried, Sien calls Baku, who assures him nothing will happen to him before hanging up and heading to the bowling alley, where Baekjin and the union members wait to welcome him. At the airport, just before boarding, Sien gets a call from Jun Tae telling him the words he has longed to hear, that what happened to Suho is not his fault. Hearing this, Sien decides not to leave. The next day, Gotak and Jun Tae are happy that Sien isn't going abroad. Sien says he knows that Baku joined the union. Sien tells Gotak and Jun Tae that they need to get Baku back. They know Baku joined the union because he felt guilty about what happened to them. Meanwhile, Baku keeps doing Baekjin's dirty work, forcing another school to join their gang. Later, Baekjin pays him a lot of money, and Baku is frustrated but still takes it because his father needs to settle a police fine from a minor case, then secretly gives the money to his father. He remembers how Baekjin changed after he taught him how to fight when they were younger. Sien and his friends go to Baku's house, but his father belittles him, calling him worthless like his mother. Sien defends Baku, saying he's a good person who cares about his friends and gets along with everyone, and if his father sees him as worthless, then the problem is him. Baku's father kicks them out, so they search elsewhere and approach Hyo Man, who reveals more about the union. Baekjin and the union work for the boss gang who owns the bowling alley Baekjin manages and a motorcycle company. The bowling alley is a front for money laundering. Baekjin recruits high school boys as part-timers, paying them well to do his boss's gang's illegal work. The union steals motorcycles, rebuilds them at abandoned buildings, sells them on the black market, then later steals them back, repaints them, changes number plates, and resells them. The profits are laundered through the bowling alley. Their boss's gang keeps a record of all their crimes, trapping the boys in the gang, and they can't report to the police since all transactions use fake accounts and cash. Sien decides to confront Baekjin and tells Gotak and Jun Tae not to act without him. He waits for Baekjin at the bowling alley while Gotak and Jun Tae ignore his warning and sneak into the union's illegal motor repair shop to look for Baku, who has been missing from home for a few days. Baku suddenly receives a call from Gotak but ignores it. Frustrated, Gotak and Jun Tae decide to sneak inside the place and find an office filled with the union's illegal documents, so they decide to break in. When Baekjin arrives, Sien asks why someone as smart as him, who even earned a scholarship, chose to become the union's leader. Maybe he's after Baku because Baku truly knows him and sees him as his only friend, but Sien wonders if Baku feels the same. Baekjin shows him CCTV footage of Gotak and Jun Tae breaking into the records room to find his crime ledger. Baekjin has already sent union members to deal with them. Sien gets angry and tries to stab him, but his usual tactics don't work on Baekjin, the union's top fighter. Just then, Baku arrives and drags Sien away, telling him to leave. Earlier, Baekjin had sent Baku to steal a motorbike, but he refused, saying he's done working for him. He warns Baekjin that he can target the people in his life, but their relationship will never go back to what it was. He tells Baekjin they're no longer friends and not to contact him again. Baekjin tries to attack, but Baku dodges and punches him before leaving. At the building, Gotak and Jun Tae find the stolen motorcycle ledger, but the union gang arrives. Jun Tae hides it. Go-tak fights several members including Union's leaders and is badly beaten, but with Juntae's help, they manage to escape, though later chased by the gang. Later, CN gets a call from the hospital saying Suho is in critical condition and they can't reach his guardian. Shocked, CN steps into the road without looking as a speeding lorry approaches and hits him. Go-tak and Juntae run from the Union gang and hide under a lorry, thinking they are safe. Later, Union leaders manage to find them, and even though they try to fight back, they are outmatched. The leader takes their ledger and beats Juntae badly. Baku arrives, but suddenly a motorcycle rushes from behind and hits him in the head. When the rider comes for a second attempt, Baku strikes his head and takes both of them down easily. Fueled by anger, Baku strangles the leader and nearly kills him, but he stops when Juntae receives a call about CN's accident, and they rush to the hospital. CN is in the ICU with his mother, who tells them he is stable but asks them to stay away from her son. In CN's mind, in a boxing ring, he meets Boomsock. They watch CN's friends happily spending time from afar, and Boomsock tells him how nice it was when he, Suho, and CN were best friends, but now it's ruined. Boomsock says CN's new friends will soon become just like them. CN apologizes, but Boomsock says that's not what he wants before disappearing. The Union gang retrieves the ledger but notices a page missing, and Baek-jin orders them to get it back. The next morning, Baku finds his father preparing breakfast. His father talks warmly about the friends who visited and asks Baku to treat them well. Overwhelmed with guilt, Baku breaks down in tears when he visits CN in the hospital. Meanwhile, Juntae brings the missing page to the police but realizes they won't investigate since there's no transaction record, so he just walks away with the paper. Outside the station, he is grabbed by Union members and dragged to a warehouse where they beat him under Baek-jin's orders. Baek-jin calls, saying a piece of paper won't ruin them, but Juntae challenges him by asking why he is worried. Baek-jin knows Juntae took pictures of it and demands they be deleted, but Juntae says he will only do it if Baek-jin leaves his friends alone. Baek-jin tells him it doesn't matter because he will die there. Juntae refuses to give in and continues taking the beating. Song-jae, sleeping in the next room, wakes from the noise and admires Juntae's loyalty. He takes down the Union members and calls Baku and Go-tak to pick him up. Baku thanks Song-jae, and Song-jae asks if he is really the top dog at their school, pointing out that Juntae and CN also seem just as strong in their own ways. The boss gang later arrives at the bowling alley, furious over the ledger issue, and beats the Union gang for disrespecting him. He reminds them he is the real leader and can remove Baek-jin at any time, which would mean Baek-jin's death. Go-tak piggybacks Juntae. After Juntae wakes up, he tells them what he did, which causes Baku to feel guilt. So the next day, Baku goes to Baek-jin's school with a megaphone and openly challenges him to a fight. If Baku's school wins, the Union must disband. Baek-jin is extremely pissed off by that. Baku tells Go-tak to announce it to their school to find allies to fight the Union, leaving their schoolmates both thrilled and scared. Later, Baku visits CN in the hospital, apologizing for what happened and for Baek-jin's actions. CN's mother apologizes for stopping them from being friends and lets him in, explaining that CN is fine but his nervous system needs rest, so he is basically just sleeping and depends on himself to wake up. In CN's mind, he is trapped in a boxing ring facing his past, symbolized by Boomsock. Boomsock holds him and tries to influence him to stay, but eventually CN decides to let go of Boomsock's hand and return to his friends and Suho. He wakes up after that and immediately wants to see Suho, but Baku assures him Suho is safe and stable after the nurses contacted his grandmother. CN visits Suho and apologizes for being late and forgetting the lessons about valuing friends. He promises to protect his new friends the same way Suho protected him. In the lobby, he meets his friends, who are relieved to see him awake, and he asks them what they are planning to do about Baek-jin, unwilling to let things slide. Baku, Juntae, and Go-tak update CN after he is discharged from the hospital about the upcoming fight. Knowing they are outnumbered, CN decides they need a smarter plan. Since the Union members are together for money and not loyalty, he believes money can also split them apart. CN knows Song-jae is Baek-jin's right-hand man and goes to meet him. CN assumes that Song-jae has a burner account, one that only he and Baek-jin know, and tries to convince Songjae to betray Baekjin by sending the details of that account. Songjae asks what he will get in return. CN says if the Union gang is defeated by their school, Baekjin will make him a scapegoat and all the Union's crimes will be pinned on him. But if he cooperates with CN, he can save himself. Songjae agrees. Then CN uses Hyo-man to leak proof that Baekjin has secretly taken over 79 million from them. The news spreads fast, and many Union members back out before the fight. The night before the fight, while playing basketball, Go-tak knows deep down that Baku still worries about Baekjin, even though they are not close anymore. Meanwhile, Baekjin, who grew up in an orphanage, remembers when he and Baku were younger and happy together, and he feels sad. It is revealed that the money Baekjin stole, he actually used for a good purpose, donating it to his old orphanage. Even the principal worries about where such a large amount of money came from, but Baekjin doesn't answer and leaves. On the day of the fight, Songjae lures CN to the bowling alley, pretending it's for finding more evidence, but in reality planning to keep him away from the battle. Songjae betrays CN. Jun-tae rushes to help, fights off the guard and gets injured but tells CN to go and win for their school. At the battleground, Baku's schoolmates who are willing to fight turn out to be more than he expected, including Hyo-man's group. On the other side, Baekjin's gang turns out to be fewer than he expected. They all gather to start the fight. Baku shouts that if he loses, the Union must disband. Baekjin orders his men to kill them all, and the fight begins with Baku aiming for Baekjin. Go-tak faces the Union's leader, a skilled judo fighter, and after a tough struggle, Go-tak wins through sheer endurance. Hyo-man faces another leader, pretending to act tough but ends up severely beaten. Baku and Baekjin each beat their opponents mercilessly before turning to face each other. Their clash is intense and evenly matched, a brutal yet tragic battle between former friends. Baku tries to break both of Baekjin's arms, but Baekjin fights back fiercely. The fight is heavy with sadness until Baekjin finally overpowers him, knocking Baku out. He then declares a victory, claiming Baku's school is now under the Union, and challenges anyone who disagrees to step up and fight him. Go-tak wants to step in, but CN arrives and stops him. Wearing his punch gear, CN challenges Baekjin. Baekjin is obviously stronger, but CN is not afraid. He targets Baekjin's leg to slow him down. Baekjin underestimates him, expecting an easy win, and beats CN brutally, knocking him out. But CN refuses to give up. He wakes up and attacks Baekjin's leg again, brutally punching him. Baekjin blocks CN's punch and strikes back, kicking his head and knocking him out again. Baekjin says he knows Baku and CN aimed to break his legs and arms, but they still lost to him. Then, CN reveals that it was actually part of his game plan. Realizing he's been tricked, Baekjin turns, only for Baku to land a massive punch that knocks him down. Baekjin tries to fight back with all his strength, but Baku delivers another powerful punch that knocks him out, ending the fight and dissolving the Union. Baku apologizes to Baekjin and demands an apology back, but Baekjin stays silent. CN's persistence gave Baku enough time to recover, just as they had planned earlier. It is revealed that CN and Baku had agreed on a second plan. If Baku was knocked out, CN would step in, hold on as long as possible, and give Baku time to get back up. Their plan worked. Afterward, Jun-tae arrives, and they all sleep peacefully inside the bus. Life at their school returns to normal, with Hyo-man becoming school president. CN and his friends move on to senior year. CN spends more time with his friends, while Baekjin's fate remains unknown. After their loss, he disappears, and no one knows where he went. One day, CN gets a call. Suho has woken up from his coma. CN rushes with his friends to meet him. CN is speechless and cannot believe Suho is awake. Suho asks how he has been doing. CN says he is fine. When Suho asks who is with him, CN introduces his friends, and Suho is happy to see CN surrounded by them. As a possible spoiler for Season 3, the Boss Gang tries to recruit Songjae to replace Baekjin, but he refuses. The scene ends with Baku crying at Baekjin's funeral. It turns out the Boss Gang killed Baekjin after their loss. And that's how the story ends. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Craving K-dramas or K-movies? Get your bite-sized fill at Recap Dumpling.